The night arrived without ceremony, carrying no thunder and no grand announcement, yet something invisible shifted in the quiet corners of existence. The world continued moving with its familiar noise while a softer rhythm unfolded underneath it, like distant waves touching the shore of a forgotten memory that had been waiting patiently for recognition. There are seasons when life speaks loudly through movement, achievement, and endless motion, and there are seasons when meaning slips quietly into empty spaces. Those silent seasons often feel ordinary from the outside, yet inside them entire worlds rebuild themselves with careful hands and unseen intention. Every heart collects fragments from unfinished days, storing them inside hidden rooms where old dreams rest beside new doubts. Time walks through those rooms slowly, rearranging what once felt broken into shapes that make sense only after enough sunsets have passed. The air around you has carried more than routines and responsibilities. It has carried invisible evidence of endurance. Every step taken while uncertain, every moment survived while tired, every morning entered without applause has quietly become part of a larger story still unfolding beyond immediate sight. Type Amen if these words resonate with your spirit. There was a moment long ago when you believed progress would always look dramatic, bright, and obvious. Life eventually revealed another truth, showing that transformation often arrives softly, disguised as ordinary days repeated enough times to change the structure of a soul. Many people search for signs in extraordinary places while overlooking the wisdom hidden inside their own persistence. The simple act of continuing through seasons that offered little recognition has shaped strengths that cannot be measured by outside standards. My beloved child, the spaces between victories have never been empty spaces. They have been workshops where patience learned how to breathe, where resilience learned how to stand quietly, and where hope learned how to survive without constant proof. A different kind of light appears when expectations loosen their grip. It does not flash across the sky or announce itself with noise. It settles gently inside the chest and begins teaching the heart how to trust its own steady rhythm again. Comment 333 as a reminder that quiet growth still counts. The world often rewards speed, but deep roots have always preferred slowness. Forests do not apologize for taking years to become strong, rivers do not rush toward the ocean in panic, and healing has never depended on perfect timing. There are memories still living inside you that no longer need to carry the weight they once carried. Their purpose has already been fulfilled through the lessons they delivered, and now they can become softer companions instead of permanent storms. Archangel Michael says, "There are unseen moments when strength arrives not as power but as gentleness." The strongest souls are rarely the loudest ones. They are often the people who kept choosing kindness while carrying burdens nobody else could see. Some days were never meant to teach achievement. Some days existed only to teach endurance, softness, forgiveness, rest, or the quiet courage required to begin again without certainty. Type light in the comments if you are still walking forward. You have survived versions of yourself that once believed they would never make it through difficult seasons. Those earlier versions still live within your memory, and they deserve gratitude for carrying you across bridges that looked impossible at the time. The human spirit rarely transforms all at once. It changes through tiny decisions repeated quietly, through ordinary mornings entered faithfully, and through moments when nobody is watching except your own conscience. Some doors close without explanation because not every path is designed for permanence. Certain experiences exist only long enough to shape perspective before releasing you toward spaces better aligned with the person slowly emerging beneath old layers. The quiet inside you has not been emptiness. It has been preparation, storing energy, collecting clarity, and building foundations sturdy enough to hold the next chapter without collapsing beneath its own weight. Comment peace if you choose growth over rushing. Morning light has a way of touching everything equally, falling across unfinished dreams and completed journeys without judgment. In the same way, life keeps offering fresh beginnings regardless of how yesterday ended. There is beauty in becoming someone different while still honoring who you used to be. Change does not erase history, it rearranges history into something useful, allowing pain to become perspective and experience to become wisdom. My beloved child, there are parts of your story still waiting to reveal their meaning. The chapters that felt slow were never empty chapters. They were building emotional architecture strong enough for greater responsibilities and deeper peace. The heart sometimes mistakes stillness for stagnation, yet stillness often performs its greatest work beneath the surface. Seeds remain unseen before becoming forests, and inner growth often follows the same quiet pattern. Type Amen if you believe unseen growth still matters. A gentle strength begins appearing when you stop measuring your worth through constant productivity. Rest stops feeling like failure, silence stops feeling uncomfortable, and your own presence becomes a safer place to exist. You carry invisible proof of survival in ways that statistics and accomplishments cannot capture. Every disappointment endured without losing compassion has shaped something rare inside you, something steady enough to remain even when circumstances shift. Archangel Michael says, peace was never meant to be something borrowed from outside approval. Real peace grows slowly from alignment, honesty, and the decision to stop fighting yourself while walking through uncertain seasons. The world will continue changing its expectations, trends, and definitions of success. Your spirit becomes stronger when it learns how to remain rooted while everything around it keeps moving. Comment 111 if you choose inner stability. There are people who will only notice your destination and never understand the distance traveled. Their limited perspective cannot reduce the value of roads crossed, tears survived, or quiet battles won without witnesses. Sometimes healing arrives disguised as boredom because chaos once felt familiar. Learning how to exist peacefully can feel strange at first, yet unfamiliar calm eventually becomes a new home for the nervous system and the heart. You are allowed to outgrow environments, routines, and narratives that once defined entire seasons of your life. Growth occasionally looks like releasing old identities with gratitude rather than carrying them forever. There is no requirement to become extraordinary overnight. Lasting change prefers consistency over intensity, and gentle persistence often travels farther than dramatic effort. Type growth if you are building slowly. Every ending leaves behind small fragments that try to convince the heart something important disappeared forever. Time eventually reveals that many endings are simply spaces being cleared so new forms of meaning can finally fit. There are dreams resting quietly inside you that never stopped existing. They simply moved beneath the surface for protection while life demanded energy elsewhere, waiting for the moment when hope felt safe enough to rise again. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks. The soul becomes lighter when it stops carrying responsibility for everything beyond its control. Not every outcome belongs in your hands, and releasing impossible burdens creates room for joy to return naturally. Comment calm if you are choosing peace today. Even now, while reading these words, countless invisible processes continue unfolding inside you. Old patterns loosen their grip, new understanding forms connections, and quieter versions of confidence begin taking shape. Your story has never depended entirely on perfect circumstances. It has always depended more on your ability to adapt, to remain open, and to continue moving even when certainty refused to appear. There is something powerful about reaching a point where survival no longer becomes the only goal. That moment creates space for creativity, softness, connection, and the rediscovery of forgotten parts of yourself. The silence that once felt uncomfortable can become sacred territory. Within it lives reflection, restoration, and the quiet realization that you were never as lost as certain moments made you believe. Type Amen and carry this calm into your next chapter. The road ahead does not arrive all at once. It reveals itself gradually through ordinary mornings, through quiet choices repeated often enough to become character, and through small acts of faith in yourself that no audience ever notices. There are seasons when life removes distractions not to punish, but to create enough silence for truth to become audible again. In that stillness, you begin noticing what genuinely nourishes your spirit and what merely filled empty spaces temporarily. You have spent time carrying expectations that were never truly yours, wearing responsibilities stitched together from outside voices and old fears. The moment those layers begin falling away, breathing feels different, movement feels lighter, and possibility returns without force. Every scar inside your memory has developed its own language. Some speak about survival, some speak about love, and some quietly remind you that strength often arrived long before you realized you possessed it. Comment 444 if you are learning to trust your own journey. There is a quiet kind of courage that never receives awards. It appears when you continue showing kindness after disappointment, when you keep creating after setbacks, and when you choose softness in a world that constantly rewards hardness. The heart remembers more than pain. It remembers unexpected kindness, small victories, peaceful mornings, familiar voices, and moments when light entered at exactly the right time without needing recognition. You were never meant to carry every version of yourself forever. Some identities served their purpose for a season and now deserve respectful release, making room for the person becoming visible beneath years of adaptation. A gentle rebuilding process has already begun, even if progress feels invisible from day to day. Most meaningful changes happen quietly enough that only time notices them immediately. Type peace if you are allowing yourself to evolve. The future often looks intimidating because it arrives without instructions. Yet every important chapter in your life began the same way, uncertain at first, understandable only later. There are parts of your spirit that have remained patient through every delay and every detour. Those deeper parts never demanded perfection, they only asked you to keep moving with honesty. My beloved child, the weight you carried during difficult seasons taught you things comfort never could. Strength born from experience moves differently because it understands fragility and respects gentleness. You do not need permission to create new patterns. The moment you choose differently, even in small ways, entire directions begin shifting quietly beneath the surface. Comment 777 as a reminder that new paths begin with small steps. Some people spend years waiting to feel completely ready before changing their lives. Readiness rarely arrives first. Movement creates readiness through repetition, patience, and experience gathered along the way. There are invisible chapters between endings and beginnings where nothing dramatic seems to happen. Those in-between spaces often hold the deepest transformations because they teach how to exist without immediate answers. Archangel Michael says, "There is wisdom in slowing down enough to notice what your spirit has been trying to communicate beneath constant noise." Clarity rarely competes for attention, it waits quietly until space becomes available. You have already outgrown certain fears simply by surviving long enough to see they could not define your entire story. Growth sometimes happens so gradually that it only becomes visible when looking backward. Type light if you choose progress over perfection. The world will always offer reasons to compare your timing with someone else's path. Comparison creates noise, while purpose grows stronger in quiet attention toward your own direction. You are allowed to celebrate small victories without minimizing them. Tiny moments of progress become foundations, and foundations are what hold everything larger later. There were days when getting through the next hour felt difficult, and yet here you are continuing forward. That quiet continuation deserves more respect than you may realize. Life has a way of returning lessons until they transform into understanding. Once understanding arrives, the same situations begin feeling lighter because your relationship with them changes. Comment calm if you are choosing steady growth. Every sunrise enters the world without demanding applause. It simply appears, consistently and faithfully, reminding us that repetition itself can become something beautiful. You contain more resilience than the difficult seasons tried to convince you otherwise. Resilience is not loud, it is the decision to continue building meaning while uncertainty still exists. My beloved child, your journey was never designed to look identical to anyone else's. Individual paths create individual timing, and different timing does not reduce value. There are moments ahead that will feel softer than the ones behind you. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you become stronger, wiser, and more familiar with your own inner ground. Type Amen if you are welcoming peace into your path. Sometimes the greatest transformation happens when you stop chasing constant transformation. Resting, observing, and allowing life to unfold naturally creates room for deeper alignment. The quiet voice inside you has survived every loud season. It remained present beneath stress, beneath disappointment, beneath confusion, waiting patiently to be heard again. The quiet voice inside you has survived every loud season. It remained present beneath stress, beneath disappointment, beneath confusion, waiting patiently to be heard again. You are not standing at the end of your story. You are standing inside a chapter still writing itself through your choices, your patience, and your willingness to remain open. The silence that once felt heavy now carries something different. It carries space, possibility, and the gentle understanding that you have already traveled farther than you once believed possible. Comment 333 and carry this energy with you today.